Well, hello, and you're most welcome back to the Gmodism channel. This is your host Eric, and if you're new here, I make some various gameplays of some creative games. And you may probably, if you're watching this series, know about martincitopants, who does a lot of crazy things in not only creative games, but our games too, where he likes to do some pretty extreme stuff and builds, which is very fun. And in this particular series, well, I am upgrading one of the ships he made. I've been playing From the Depth for a lot of years, so I found some areas of improvement. And now we are finally back with the next episode. Now, excuse the little delays. As you may know, I've been working on the Sword of the Ecclesiarchy sub-faction. And well, if you don't know that, the Gmodism Army of Gmodism sub-faction, the Gmodist United Armed Forces, what is the official name? I should know it by heart. Anyways, we're participating in the Promethean Directive with a sub-faction called Army of Gmodism Sword of the Ecclesiarch, and me and some others, to be specific, Robot Stellar and Witch Doctor, are building for this and have done so too. Now, this is a thing I'm mostly responsible for, not completely, but mostly. The others have of course helped me fix it and upgrade it and make it even better. Yes, my designs can also be upgraded, and you know, I may have spent too much time on interiors. Well, too much time, of course, depends if you think it's worth it, but whatever. Anyway, we take a look at this little different stuff in another video, so do check that out instead. We already done that. And well, more is of course coming if you are interested in that. Look at that. But that's the reason why the Yamato Refit and some other series have indeed taken some time well, have been postponed a little bit, because I only had that many hours on YouTube to spend each week. Well, in any case, this is the current state of the Yamato. Last time, if you watched this episode, we have upgraded the armor. And you should, if you don't know that, you should of course check out the previous versions, the previous videos. In those videos are the previous versions in the playlist in the description, if you want to see how we got to this stage. The current Yamato is a lot more powerful and a lot more expensive. And in this video, we should indeed check out the AI and detection systems, because we don't have any AI routines set up really that are good for this particular stuff, and we don't have proper detection setup either. We did add a little bit of detection due to our updating of the turrets, but of course we'll need to check over that to make sure that the Yamato has perfect detection. That's redundant too. A ship of this size should really have some really epic detection. I have done a few things, however. Now, lights do cause a lot of lag, so there were a lot of lights on the Yamato and they had the same color at the same place. It served no reason. So I removed them and replaced them by one. Other than that, we have also checked the movement pattern of the turrets. You may have seen that I removed the patterns or the damage debugging. And that's because I basically set up the turrets so that they can turn freely, because some of the turrets were blocked internally. Yes, we did update the turrets, of course, but aside updating the turrets like that, we obviously had to, well, remain the shape, and the turret holes on the ship weren't changed. So at some areas there were still blockades that of course were left there from Martin's build, and we, well, fixed them off camera basically. Well, any case, we should be looking at the detection here and also the AI. Now, what I think is a little bit weird is that we have some it looks like we have some like missing tops here on some of the structures. So I am thinking perhaps we should check out like some pictures of the Yamato to compare with it, also to have for later so that we can use that. So Now this will be in another separate video later, either on this channel or on the Gmodist secondary channel. But I'm gonna just spawn a notepad here. This notepad is just so we can keep track of some stuff. It's basically a notepad app. I should upload it later to the workshop, but the cool thing is you'll just click Q on the pen and well, fill in some info so we can basically keep track what we're gonna do. Otherwise we'll have Yamato refit, and we'll have just subscribe now if you haven't. that's your reminder this time. Anyways, so we can fill in some info there. Other than that, we're gonna go to decorations, because if you didn't know this, you can like project images and stuff. So we're just gonna build a little temporary image tower. This is a little bit in preparation of the the following, like fixing the looks of the Yamato to make it look a little bit nicer. It's the wrong one. So we just have a hologram projector, and I'm just gonna Google a bit. Okay, I think I found something here. So just paste this in URL. We're gonna force image ratio, projection range 50 meters, that will be fine. We can make it like right shift a bit, we don't need it that far away, do we? That will be fine. A little bit higher up, and with a azimuth rotation like this. Probably like 0% apply to the image. All right, so here we have the Yamato, picture of it from Wikipedia, where we can see some like details and stuff. And we can then compare that to some of the parts that Martin added, and if need be, change them. So I would like a front view, it looks like here, really, to make sure the top can be made nicer. But we can see it's like a radar thing to the back here. I think we should probably copy these settings, paste them there. We're gonna shift them to the other side and put a negative azimuth so we can have another image over there, and just put them a little bit behind. There I find a nice little vibe painting as well. So yeah, that's what I thought. So the like upper section, we have a seriously like large rangefinder. We find it's on some other pictures too, but we only need enough, of course. We're not gonna make like a perfect copy, but basically what we're having here is that Martin kind of made this part, but we don't have like this part. If you look at it here, you can see that, well, this part is here, but it does lack the size it seems to have. I think so, at least. Let me check here again. Yeah, so it's like we have this section, right? That's nice. And then we have like a middle section, this thing, which is kind of missing. And then we have this section, like, so we kind of skipped a middle section. That's a little bit how it looks like. Well, that's fine and all. But we will want to try and make it a little bit more like how it probably is supposed to be. So we really got this super big rangefinder here, which we're gonna utilize, but we are going to upgrade it and add detection on this like rangefinder section. Also, it does look like there are some, like it doesn't just end like that, like we have an extra little turret thing area on the top, which gives me good ideas, because in From the Depth we usually like to have a detection turret. So if you don't know what a detection turret is, you will, while you watch this video, learn what that basically is. So we're just gonna remove this little section. Do we have anything inside of here? You can just take this prefab mode and see if we got anything inside. No, it's just a solid little block thing. That's good. Then we don't destroy anything by removing this. Right, so this provides some weak points. We can quickly just fix this by changing the layout a little bit here. Now I just realized we really want to have a mirror mode. So we just have like 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can remove like 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that, and they will kind of be equally long. We'll just add some stuff to it there. On the pictures, it kind of looks like it tapers a little bit more, so we're gonna add a taper here. Now this is a little bit more infringing on the like deco side of things, but well, not really. Basically, out of here, on the pictures, there's like a box section like sticking out like this. What we're basically going to do is we are going to do something a tiny bit interesting, I think. We are going to add rubber blocks. Now, it's usually better to have larger blocks, but we're gonna have 4 of them so they cover the most amount of connection points. Then we're gonna make sure we make an insulated area. So now we basically insulated off this little area. And we're going to add like a box outside of this thing. So you can see these corners don't actually touch. This is EMP secure. So we'll need to be careful if we add blocks to any places they shouldn't be added, because then we might, well, make it not EMP secure. It's really sensitive. Like if we go in here and add like a plick panel, like this, it's no longer EMP secure. We have compromised this entire section. It's crazy. If you want to know more, I have an EMP armoring tutorial. It's still valid, the stuff we say there. If you feel it's old, nothing's changed, but it may feel old due to some things being updated in the visual side or from the depth. Just watch my recent instant armoring tutorial, because that tutorial actually has the same tips in a condensed format, of course, so you don't get as much details. But if you want to know more about EMP, that's where to go. Right, so we made this little box here, and the thing with detection is that the 360 detection is like really inaccurate compared to the 90-degree detection. And if you have a 90-degree detection, like the only reason to have 360 is to have redundancy, but the 90-degree ones are just better in every regard. So ideally, you want to have a 90-degree version in each direction. Now, if you have more, they will be better, but they will be so good that having one in each direction is usually absolutely like enough. However, I'm going to add one in each direction for this on both sides, so we kind of have a type of redundancy for that. Now, you can see that we will not be able to see downwards with this, so we'll use downwards with some auxiliary types of detection instead. Or the sides, because the sides will be a weak point, of course, because they are not backed up by double things. So we're gonna have a radar there and there. We're gonna have some IR cameras as well. We'll need to make sure we are careful with the connection points backwards. You can add an IR camera. They will connect backwards, so that works. You can add one here, add one there. We can add one upwards. And the normal cameras are a little bit more nitpicky, like they won't connect backwards, they only connect like downwards like this, which makes it a little bit harder to add, but it's nice. It's not that hard. We'll just need to be careful with placement. So we can activate the place anywhere mode. So we can place it in the air here, so we see that way. Now let's see here. This is like some pretty complex Tetris. I feel like, because I think I should add the connectors first. So here's a connection, here's a connection. there is a connection too, and there is a connection too. This is a connection there, and this is a connection there, and we're all set. Now this camera can be connected upwards like this, that's fine. Then we can have the other camera being connected backwards like that. So we see we are like running out of slots. I think we'll add the cameras somewhere else actually. Probably so. And I just realized this too. I want to say a big thanks to all of you who are supporting the channel every month. Especially our commissioned officers from Lieutenant and above. And that's of course Commodore Owen, Captain Sebastian Dode, Captain Shiro, Captain Awesome Pupper, Commander Ben Vilke, Commander Delphin, Lieutenants Anto, Cravey, Flowers Dagon, Josef Ishovsky, Powered by Greed, Vincent, Veritas, Rick Proel, and Scooby Rocks. Your monthly support helps a lot. Also, big thanks to everyone in the ecclesiarchy of Gmodism. Unfortunately, you could not watch this video in early access because it's made one day too late in, well, it's made one day later than I wanted to. Also, the following up video to this will hopefully be in early access, available to you very soon. Anyways, let's continue with the video. Well, you may be wondering why we all need this different type of detection. So I can just quickly tell you, if you go to the AI, I'll just spawn a basic little AI here. There are some stuff called aimpoint selection card. If you have a detection for IR, you will be able to select target hot blocks. If you don't have this, you won't be able to use this. If you want to target clusters of block, you need a radar or you need well, visual cameras. You always basically have that, but whatever, that allows that selection basically, and that's some pretty important things. As you may imagine, they have different things they are good at detecting. The thing with IR, that is the update frequency, is pretty high. And they also detect hot things, so stealthy jet planes that are using jets. You'll be able to detect them and track them best with IR. Visual is pretty good all around, and radar is pretty good too, but better for larger things. Submarines, of course, you need sonar, passive sonar, stuff like that. So they have some different use cases. I have a video about that too, of course, if you're interested. Now, to be able to fit the cameras in a reasonable manner, I realized we need to move around some stuff here, right? What we can do in order to make the cameras look at different directions like we want to, is that we can add a connector here, and then we can go and add, whoops, a camera. We're gonna use this alternative cam. No, that looks bad. And we can add it in this direction, forwards. So for forwards, we have that. For backwards, we can add a camera here or there. Doesn't really matter. We just have a connection point, so we have backwards. If we want the camera upwards, well, we can add it here so it's protected. And we just add a connection block there. And yeah, that's how to do it. Forwards, upwards. We have two upwards. Well, that's good. Then we can... Oh, no, we don't. Now we have a visual camera upwards. Good. And the only thing we're lacking is a camera to the side. So probably we're just gonna add one here just under it, so it's a little bit protected from behind. Now to connect up all this, we need a wireless receiver. And that should be connecting, let's see, they have two connection points. This is the proper, and we can connect this part and this part. Now let's see here, all of them are connected with a tiny little bit of redundancy as well. If we want some tracking to take place, we can add some trackers, of course, to this tower as well, but I think we're gonna have trackers elsewhere. So yeah, possibly we want, for the first initial vol, it could be good to have forwards trackers. When we detect them and they are in front of us, we may have some redundancy of locking on, because most of our trackers will of course be active side to side, because this is where we're gonna use them. But just for redundancy, we're adding a radar and a visual camera tracker. Of course, you can see their field of view is pretty blocked. So they will only be able to see in the like angles. If you were inside this block, you will be able to see in that area. So it's pretty narrow forward field of view there. That will be fine, however. So we can now close this thing off, or perhaps not. We can use this space to just slap down another visual laser rangefinder for side to side. Laser rangefinders are very cheap because they only require 0.1% of processing power. I think it is. Yes, which is a lot less than the other ones. Most use like 1 resource. And the thing with the cost of that, this might only be like, any of these is like 40 materials, some is 60, some is even cheaper. But 1 general processing power requires 1 general processing power card, and each of these cost 100 materials. That's why it's cost effective. Oh, also we have this unutilized space downwards here. Here we can totally add some retro-reflective sensor. This is like helping detecting some stealthy things. And if we add it like that, they won't block each other. So then we can have a... Let's see, I think we're gonna have a passive radar 360 down here. That will be excellent. Left is disabled, downward is disabled, yeah. The funny thing with detection components, this is a detection component, and this is a tracking component. They may look very similar, but the thing is, this sees with actual field of view, can't detect new targets, only track targets. This thing detects targets, and it needs a 90-degree like field of view. So it needs, for infinity in each direction, it needs like clear sight. So to be able to use this, you can basically like block up all other places like this. If you just leave a little tunnel for it to see 90 degrees in each field, it will be able to see with 100% efficiency. So it's a little bit weird, but that's just the difference between trackers and detector components. Detectors are able to detect new targets, but they provide pretty poor information value. You can see this thing, it creates detection 20 times per second, and that may seem fast, but if you have really fast weapons, you might just entirely miss targets, you know. It does, however, have a range error of 10%. If you look at the camera tracker, you can see the range error is slightly less, but it is providing 25 times per second, and it has an angular error of 0.1 degree, whereas the regular camera has an angular error of 0.2. So that may seem like a little difference, but it can make some decent difference. If you compare that, however, to the 360, you can see the range error is 12%, and the angular error is now 0.3 degrees. Now, a common misconception is that if you have bad detection and mix it with good detection, you will dilute the detection of the good components, making your overall detection like worse. This is not true. Having more detection is better, and you will not be able to dilute your detection because they are like automatically fixing themselves like that. And they are like automatically adjusting themselves. Before you had to adjust it manually each time, but now it will just do it itself, basically. You can switch, however, if you want to be able to track several targets at once. Relevant for this vehicle, but for some vehicle you probably only want to target one target, and that's better to use all the trackers for one target then. But here you can see stats. If you're interested, you can change some stuff here. But we won't be going through that in this video because it is a rabbit hole, or how you say. This is apparently a solid block of alloy. We're gonna beef it up a little bit and just make some heavy armor on the top here so that our turret will be standing on a firm foundation. Now, as said, we're gonna have a detection turret, And the way we make a detection turret, it's really simple. We're just gonna have a one-axis turret on top of here. Probably we're gonna check documentation here. Okay. Looks like we're not completely centered, but it seems to be a little in front of the crossbar of this, you know, this crossbar here. So I guess we're gonna place it here. And we're gonna have an AI all-in-one local weapon controller. We're gonna do some redundant stuff here. We're gonna have one here and one here. Hopefully both of them won't be like killed. We're going to add just a little bit of rubber to insulate them. And they're just gonna target like our main target. Oh. Yeah, we placed them off-center. That's stupid of me. Of course, we can't place them exactly there. I guess we're just gonna do like this. We have a backup on the side here. And we have like a proper EMP insulated one behind. Because, yeah. Actually, the likelihood this particular tracker turret will be shot doesn't matter very much if it does either. So we're just gonna deal with it, not EMP insulated. Anyways, from the pictures we can see we have a little bit of a like extra detection stuff, and possibly I think we're gonna add a remove fog of war thing on this thing. So there are like a remove fog of war block. Man, we won't be able to have much armor on this. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. This is gonna be inside of here, right? Yeah, it's gonna be inside here. We can't EMP insulate it. No, we can't. Okay. Yeah, well, it's probably fine. I don't expect this thing to be targeted that easily, to be honest. This is gonna sit a little bit behind. In front of this, then we can add the surge predictor. If a stray missile hits us, this should take the damage first. And then we're gonna add some blocks to it, some detection. The detection turret, when we detected a target, will be able to, well, it will track the enemy and look at it. And if we can look at the enemy, we can provide 90-degree direction in this area, and we'll always have really good data. Now, from the pictures, it really looks like we have some type of rangefinder on this as well. So we're gonna add rangefinders. We're gonna have 2 of them because it looks like it has 2. From just a quick look. It will provide the angular bearing accuracy with some better values. You can see the difference is that the range error is a little bit less, but the angular error is actually the same for all of these, and you really want a rangefinder in order to have less angular error. And that's of course the bearing, so if you're shooting with the slow turrets, having accurate bearing is really important, so having at least one rangefinder is a coincidence rangefinder is very important. Well, for this particular thing, we can also use a couple of these. And by these I mean, well, portholes. Cameras can see through portholes. Not IR cameras, but regular cameras. So let's see here, if we just do like that, it can be pointing upwards, it can see through this. And the laser rangefinder can see through this as well. We can add one here. Oh, and now we'll, well, whatever. I'm sure it's fine. We can actually connect up this using this, like, both the all-in-one local weapon controller block and the coincidence rangefinder is actually connectable using this. We can remove that thing and just have a radar 90-degree here instead. Yeah, I'm basically gonna add what I added to the other ones, so I'll be back very soon. Right, that's what we added. Laser rangefinder, retroreflective sensor, visual camera tracker. Wait, these need to be alloy for, well, it's not important, it's just what it was. To make it look right, right? And for the coincidence rangefinder, the only block you can't block is like this block. The other ones, doesn't matter. Alright, I'm just gonna cover this thing up and, well, armor this a little tiny bit, and we're good to go to the next step. Also, now we have something that looks like a radar thing on top of it. And there is the exact block this is representing and from the depth, basically. It's mostly relevant for the campaign playthroughs, of course, but since Martin used this in the campaign, and maybe you want to download this fixed version and use it in the campaign later, this is like a relevant block to have. And that is the, where is it on miscellaneous? I think it is. It's not. It's on AI, of course. Strategic 10 antenna. This is not a radar. It looks like a radar. It isn't a radar. It is a, well, remove fog of war thing. So, you basically remove fog of war with this, and it looks like an antenna thing. So on the pictures, it looks like it is about almost as wide as the detection pieces there. And that looks a little bit weird, I must say. Anyways, let's just build it to the size it should be. I realized I put it on the wrong place. One sec. It should be on the other way. Right. Something like that, but I feel it looks like they are like floating in the air a little bit here. I don't really like that. So I'm gonna fix this issue with some mimics. I'm gonna add a type of support structure to it here that will make it look like it makes sense. Just some 2D support like this. Maybe like that. And just a little angle. Now this is an angle too difficult to adjust with the sliders, I feel. Let's see here. Come on. Something like that. And when we're happy, we can, fortunately, apply with mirror, so we don't need to do it twice. I think that looks pretty decent. Okay, so now we have something detection-wise on the top here that looks a little bit more similar to the Yamato. And we have one thing that's kind of lacking. And that is on the Yamato. I don't know what it does. Let me see here. It's like alloy connection strut. Like that. I'm gonna add it as a mimic thing. We're gonna go to cram cannons because there is a fun little ring on top of the like real Yamato. I'm sure it's some type of like detection something probably. I don't know. But a picture of it has like this thing. Like a large little ring on top. Something like that. Maybe you can tell me in the comments what this is, but well, now we have it. Now we have it. Now we have some detection on the Yamato that serves no purpose because they are not even connected up. Like these little telescopes here. I feel we can have a couple of telescopes, sure, why not? Can be nice, looks nice, and will provide some detection accuracy, of course. But, of course, we want them to be connected as well, so we're gonna do that. Just gonna have a little connector there. I like to use this telescope gimbal tracker a lot too. It looks nice. And just some stuff like that. Beautiful. And now we can just copy this to some other places where we want it. And have one here. And we can have one back here as well. And yeah, I think that will be fantastic. There are some other detection stuff that's not connected to. I'm gonna find them. And ooh, now let's see here. I don't remember if this will be blocked or not by... I can check that very easily actually. We'll just add a radar in this direction. It's enabled. Okay, we can see through them railings. I thought you could see through them railings, but I was a little bit unsure. Now, it's very obvious what should be here. Obviously, we should have a coincidence rangefinder. Possibly 7 meters could fit here. So I feel that where we have this, we can just add a proper coincidence rangefinder and we're good to go. Oops. So like that. We have more of them. I do know we have some stuff that's not connected up. These are like blocked. Their view is blocked. They serve no purpose. We could add them sideways, however. Yeah, I think what we can do is possibly add them sideways instead. So we're just gonna go through stuff like this. You can see we don't need a connector down there either. Or did we have several? No? Okay, good. Like that. We can add it above, just a little block here. Detection and switch to rangefinder. Armored. I think the 5 range one will look better here actually. And as for this, as said, we will just remove them. See here, 5 meters. Squeeze one down here. Like that. And they will be somewhat protected as well. Using the armor, they will be a little bit harder to kill. Yeah, stuff like this. Now, what more do we have? I'm just gonna go through this a little bit and check. Now, this munition warner system does have an EMP susceptibility, that's true, but this laser warner, it is put just on top of this and basically provides a bridge to this munition warning system to be EMP killed. So we better have it here, like that. Also, why is this colored red? Let's color it nothing. On these, they look absolutely set up really fine. They see well and everything. I'm just going to basically make sure that they survive a little bit better. We can just, oh, we'll need to do this as well. So we don't need to do it twice. We can just provide a little piece of armor in front of it so themselves won't be shot that easily. Now you can go fancy with the tetra blocks here. This is something I learned from playing like other voxel games. Being real fast with this type of blocks. Like understanding their shape. I'm sure there is a large part of my brain that's actually preoccupied with understanding stuff like this. Now this is a nice little place to actually have redundant detection. So for example, no, we are blocked here, never mind. We're gonna use this space for just having a camera tracker, a little extra camera tracker. And well, as you probably know, the turrets, we added like a lot of tracking and detection to all of the turrets. So we have already some pretty decent detection. There is like one thing left that we need to do, and that is adding redundancy to the detection. Inside of here, we have a perfect place to put cameras. So of course, through these glass blocks, we can actually see, like the game can actually see. So it's perfect if we want to have redundancy here. We can like have a 360 camera just here. We can have a Well, retroreflective sensor under it, why not? And then just connect it up to detection. Like this. And man, I have like micro stutters which make me click all over the place. I think it's time to restart from the depth. I'll just add a slab of rubber under it and it will be insulated indeed. Now, upwards is disabled. That's pretty fine, of course. If we want to enable upwards, we can just remove this single block and just add a 3-meter block here, leaving a little hole inside of there, which is nice. Let's see here, I painted this with paint 25. I should probably just add a 4-meter beam as a mimic, so there is actually nothing here. And in its place we can set the 3-meter alloy block. Perfect, this is nothing. And now we have redundant detection there. Since this is such a large ship, I feel that a little bit of a better redundant detection may be in place. So we're gonna simply do like this. We're gonna have a camera that's gonna point, well, forwards. We're gonna have a camera that points to the side. We're gonna have a camera that points... Oh, actually, I need that backwards, right? Yeah. So forwards can point, let's see here, this direction then. And to the side, the other way here. Now we'll just need to connect it up with AI. Very simple. Let's see. Enabled, enabled. Okay, all of these cameras now work. Perhaps narrow field of view, camera tracker as a extra little entity. Now this is not EMP insulated. If we want to do that, we'll just remove the block it's standing on and replace it with a rubber block, making sure we have no other connections. It's like this and this block that need to be protected. Very nice indeed. We've added base detection. We've added a detector turret, and previously we have added so much redundant detection on all the turrets. There is only one thing left, and that's submarine detection. Now this is an important but easy to forget part, and what we're gonna deal with here is naturally sonars. So we are going to find some places where we can install some simple sonar system, preferably where we have blocks that are just angular like this. Perfect. This is a good place to put a little sonar in like each direction. So we have one sonar going here. You can actually use a red color for this. And just connect it up with a wireless receiver. Like, no, like that. Perfect. Clear line of sight. So now we have forwards and backwards. Side to side is activated, yeah. Oh, and the symmetry plane, I forgot that. There we have it. Side to side is a bit incorrect. I mean, of course, starboard and barboard. We're gonna have some in the back portion as well, so we can detect things like from side to side, starboards, barboards, backwards. But I also want 2 forward-facing sonars, so we have a visual of missiles coming to us. Now, what we also want to have is passive sonars, because passive sonars can be great, like you see here, like the passive radar. Passive sonars can be great at detecting torpedoes, like sonar torpedoes, which is obviously relevant to have. Right. Starboard, barboard detection. Let's put some here. Maybe here. What's this? Okay, that's perfect. And there we have it. Now, backwards we want some as well. Backwards sonars added. And downwards sonars if we meet some absolutely super crazy Lua missile shenanigans. Pretty unlikely, but well, we are prepared now, so that's good. For some extra redundancy and also detection of weird missiles, it can be a good idea, or torpedoes I mean, to have a passive sonar to detect the incoming sonar pings, and to have a 360 sonar seeing in all degrees like this at a neat little place like this. So we just have a little tower, and we can have another one of these towers in like another location. Now we have it pretty in the rear of the ship, or in the fore of the ship I mean. So we can have one also in the rear of the ship at another location, so they are not overlapping the like field of view they have. Something like this. And perfect. Now we are having a very neat little sonar system. Actually, I think we're gonna remove this active sonar because it blocks the sight downwards for the passive sonar. So I think it will be perfectly enough to have the sonar systems we have right now. Well, we have added a lot of decent detection here, and you may feel that it's not quite enough amount of detection, and that's probably because we added a lot of detections when we fixed the turrets already. If there are any things you feel I need to remember to fix, well, write me a comment and I'll put it in the notepad there. I'll put the notepad on a workshop on some vehicles sometime if you want to be able to save it down and use it. If you're a commissioned officer, you already have access to that. I'm just gonna recheck a little bit because I obviously, you can see I forgot about this. This is not even connected to a mainframe. Yeah, that's why it doesn't even work. And if it were connected to a mainframe, yeah, okay. So that's the, oh, and we have it, okay, they are like offset. Wait, so the only issue is they are not put here? And they are disabled anyways. Let's see here. Maybe it's blocked by that little turret here, probably. Most likely. I'm gonna check this side. If this is connected. It's not connected either. That's interesting. If we make this a 5-meter one. Oh, now it's connected. Good. We're gonna swap this for a armored 5-meter one so we have accurate bearing detection backwards, if that would be needed. Perfect. For the last bit of redundancy, we are going to add some of these like radars in each direction inside of the superstructure, but at another location on where they were added, on the top of the structure here. If the top gets damaged or shot off, we still want some type of detection in each direction. So, well, we'll just add it. Looks like some sections here feel a little bit unfinished. This is a good place to put a radar because, of course, this is another separate tower. Excellent. I want to... Perfect. It's nothing more complex than that, actually. We have super redundant detection and everything now. We need to set up the AI a little bit, of course, but before that, I'm gonna show you what I worked on. Ignore the work in progress turrets behind there, but here you can see I have this ballistic tracker since I made before, but I started to develop some different low profile detectors that I haven't saved them down yet, but if you're a commissioned officer in the army of Gmodism, you will be able to access these and use them on stuff in a future update to the files. So the commissioned officers, even if you're a cadet, like $1 a month, you will be able to access the continuously updated library. So we have some different budgets and setups and formulations here of detectors, but yeah, that I have been working on. Also, this cool for show thing. It does have detection, but it's a little bit reminiscent of what we done up there with the Yamato. Also, if you didn't realize this, we put this on top of the coincidence rangefinder looking structure, so this will actually move like a turret in battles. I think it looks cool, but yeah, well, depends what you think, I suppose. The very observant viewer will notice that the visual camera tracker's stats and all the other stats here denote this little problem, or show this little problem. I can't find my words, it seems. Well, mainframe does not have enough processing power. Detection rate is reduced. This is not a good thing, and that means we need more general processing power. I'm going to try and find the area where we have some extra computing parts. Don't be seasick, please. Let's see here. Inside of here, we got one. Now, let's see if I can utilize my little prefab for this. I made a crazy prefab. I have this insulated modular stackable processing power system, which basically looks like an algorithm or something. Like it looks like a fractal pattern, as you can see here. But it was basically my finding that this would be the most efficient pattern you could make to have the most amount of general processing power at one place. Well, if you're a commissioned officer, you already have access to this, of course, but yeah. Crazy pattern I made. Looks like a fractal. Has very high amounts of processing power per square meter. I don't know if anyone made a better one. Perhaps they did, but well. As it turns out, one of these modules fit pretty well here. Also, this gives us the perfect opportunity to also place one of these. This is the wireless snooper. This detection component is pretty great because it can detect things that are super stealthy. Now, it doesn't provide very good detection at all, but it provides some detection if the other detection would be offline or if we're dealing with a super stealthy target. Now, one thing should be said, that our detection is now on channel 1, but all the detection on this build will be shared between the computers. So even though we have the detection on channel 1 and all the processing power, well, channel 2, channel 3, the other GANs will also have the opportunity to use that detection power. So that's a neat little feature. Anyways, you can see that our problematic detection is now solved. And well, if you're a commissioned officer and are confused about how to use this GPPP system, well, ask me in our dedicated Discord channel for the officers. If you want to see some more from the depth content, check out the Gmodist channel as well. You'll find links in the description, and also go to gmodism.com and you'll find all the different resources and stuff you can get for free, and also all our support options. Well, in any case, let's get on with upgrading the Ultra Yamato, and don't forget to like the video. Alright, so we like to name the AIs to commissioned officers in the army of Gmodism. So with that tradition, we are going to keep this tradition, of course. But the main frame, of course, we'll have to make it Frogman, right? It didn't let me write the long name. Well, darn it. We'll have to shorten it. Admiral Frogman von martincitopants. Okay, we can't. Martincito will do. Great. Remember right-left cut view when you want to find shit. I didn't find the AI. I could use the search function, by the way. I showed that in an earlier iteration of this series, actually, but whatever. Or earlier episode, I mean. Anyways, here is the AI on channel 1. As is, just like that. It seems that it doesn't have any targeting. Oh, it doesn't have any targeting card set up. Well, that needs to be added. This is like all vehicles should have this, unless they're super small and only rely on self-guided missiles, but whatever. Here you just put this one. Let's turn off the left cut view. And instead of general processing cards there, we should add aim point selection card and target prioritization card. Just like that. Now we had some interesting lag. Thank you. I don't know if that was my Corsair keyboard or if it was the game. I don't know. Well, whatever. This is the main guns. We're gonna set it to a time of 20. That's usually good. The blocks are so like quantities, high amount of the targets we're shooting. We want to target clusters of block, and we're not going to check above water because we basically just want to aim for the center of mass or as close as to that as we can. So clusters of blocks, 20 seconds, and well, this unchecked. And that's the aim point selection card. When it comes to the target prioritization card, we have a like setup here that's just as it is. Set all to 0, and we're gonna set like this. We're just gonna care about amount of blocks and amount of firepower. So the most amount of firepower and the most amount of blocks is the target we're going to go for with the main guns. I think that makes a lot of sense. Alright, so here we have the little AI built by martincitopants originally. We just upgraded it a little bit. I snuck in some more processing power. We're gonna have one of these, a inter-vehicle transmitter. If we have another vehicle, we can share our detection and get their detection via it as well. Here we have the transmitter on channel 1. And other than that, it should be pretty well set up now, us selecting the right target and the right, well, aim point. The broadside is active and is completely fine. The nominal broadside angle can be kept at 90. It's probably a good idea to have it at perhaps slightly less than 90. So like just 89. So we're gonna have ish an angle and we're not gonna turn sideways back and forth a little bit. Broadside minimum range can be like very low. And start broadside and start closing in on target is gonna be very like, we don't want to start closing in on target unless we are pretty far away. It's at a point where our weapons are kind of ineffective. We want to set this. We're gonna begin to have it at 4000. We may need to change it a little bit later. But our effective broadside will be pretty far away. Like I think 3500 meters is definitely a range that should be good broadside. So below 3500 meters, we can start closing in a little bit higher. 4500 meters, something like this should be reasonable. Adjustments, we want to avoid allies, sure. Look ahead, time can be like a minute. We're gonna be real slow. We're on water. We don't need to avoid enemies because we're so big, we don't want to spend resources at not crashing into them. Water depth required is probably reasonable. Turning circle, should be probably at least 1500 meters. We can measure that later. We're of course more, well, we're better at turning fast than we were before, but man, not still. 10 seconds ahead look time can be a smart idea. And the altitude setting we don't need to deal with as we already set that up using, well, at the first video I think we added the manual altitude control. So that's that. Right, maneuver is ship or tank. We can have wander distance at max, idle distance at max. We can make it use pitch control, make idle pitch angle 0 or possibly 1 degree, but let's set it to 0. Or a complete distance can be pretty far as well, 200 meters, so that we just don't move around randomly. Yeah. Right settings for a big ship like this. PIDs were already set up with the stuff we added before, and Admiral Frogman von Martincito will be the perfect name. Now, we need to add the next AI. And I realized I started to record that and then I didn't turn my mic on. So here it is. We added a mainframe. We added a transmitter on channel 2. It's really basic. We added the AI card slot and an aim point selector. This aim point selector for channel 2, which will be anti-air guns, will target blocks over water, and we can change the aim point every 10 seconds or so. And we're gonna not target random blocks. We're gonna try and target, I think we're gonna try and target hot blocks, right? No, let's set this to clusters of block as well. 10 seconds, let's make it 15. Now I'm thinking a little bit here. I'm thinking perhaps we're actually going to put the laser 2 on this. So we're going to have a pretty long focus time because we want to be able to drill to the target. So I changed my mind here. We're going to set it to 35 so you can really drill. We're going to set it to hot blocks and we're going to set it to above water. This is a good setting for a drilling system. So the AA guns slash the lasers will be on this, so we'll be able to sap any incoming nukes. If we have nukes or suicide bombers of any kind or bombers in general, we want to be able to make the lasers target and shoot them out first. Now, for the target prioritization, I already set this up when not recording my audio, sadly. But anyways, value per range will be -1, so we will target the thing that's closest. Value per speed will be +1, so we are preferring targets that have a speed that's faster, you know, and we're slightly going to target things that are at a higher altitude because we don't want to make it waste shots on like submarines that we don't need to. So this is the this is the channel 2 for the AA guns and stuff. And as in tradition, we will be writing in let's see here, what was the abbreviations? Let me check them. Okay, CGRE, that's Commodore, and we have ON here. I'll specify Army of Gmodism Commodore so people don't, you know. Anyways, there we have it. The name for the second AI. Now we're gonna add a third AI actually. And it is going to be very similar to the channel 1 AI, but it is going to be for the like rear guns. I think it makes sense to have the rear gun, the rear AI here down below. And I already have a neat prefab for this. So we are going to use, let's see here. We have an extra targeter, Orion Core X, AI extra targeter. Man, this is a big block. Why did I make it so big? Well, it's armored and everything, so that's nice. Anyways, inside of here we have the extra targeter. This is gonna be set to, let's see, channel 3, that's nice. And we can call them, well, then we have Captain AOG Captain Shuro will do. Amazing. And on this system, we are going to basically make it very similar to the front guns. I'm gonna set it to 20 seconds. We're gonna have it perhaps a little bit off, so let's set it to 25, I think. We're gonna leave this unchecked and target clusters of blocks. Then we make the rear guns and the front guns basically aim at different things. So we're gonna set this to 0 and set it to a closer target with a brig prio on firepower and block. Very nice. I think we set up this now. Now the thing left to do here, we're gonna do some shenanigans. We're gonna do blueprint maintenance, and we're gonna have local weapon controller, and here we have all the local weapon controllers. Now we're gonna do this little trick and set it to pause the game. Now these boxes won't disappear. And now we're gonna not right click, then we delete them, but left click. And now we can choose what channel we want them on. So channel 3 is our rear battery. So this, as said, set it to channel 3. This, set it to channel 3. So this entire barrage in the back here, I'm gonna set them to channel 3, but now I realized that we don't need to set all of these to channel 3. Let's see here. This one has negative priority. So it can be a good idea to set the secondary computer to another channel. So now this secondary computer, you can see it's secondary because it has the least priority. This one, however, has the highest priority, which means it's the main computer. So then we'll have the same pattern here, the secondary. And this is the secondary and this is the primary. So we're gonna set all primary ones to channel 3 for this rear battery. That means that if our aft AI would be shot out, we'll still be able to use this. They will just switch to receive on channel 1 instead. This is like the extreme redundancy we get here. So you can probably guess that for the sideways batteries here, that's in the front, they will obviously be on channel 1, except this will be left at channel 1, but the secondary backup computer will be switched to channel 3. So this is just some tedious stuff. I will set this up and I'll see you in a bit. As for the rear batteries, one of them is set to channel 3, one is set to channel 1. That's so we can spread out that damage a little bit, because of course most of the mortars are in the rear. Now, we have the main guns here. So we're gonna find the one which has max priority, and we're gonna set this to channel 3 for the rear battery, right? Now we should check these guns. We have so many guns here, and these are shooting shells pretty slowly. So it's a little bit of a question where they should belong. On this particular system, I think they are belonging on the rear battery actually, because this is like a main gun type of structure, and we don't only want to have cram damage on that. Now, for all of these small guns, these are obviously AA guns, which make them channel 2, shooting at incoming stuff that's pretty quick. Now, this is not the quickest shell, but you know, they serve the purpose. The laser system, of course, we're gonna set this to channel 2, which is for the AA guns / lasers. And oh my, all these small tiny side guns. This is obviously potential AA guns, so channel 2 for all of them. As you may understand, this is a pretty tedious and long thing, so we won't be talking over all of this. I'll just do the rest. I think you get the point, right? Alright, and with that set up, the AA guns will basically work as AA guns, and the other guns will work as normal guns and stuff like that. Well, anyways, for these ones we have 3 different options. We can set them up to like channel 1, 2 and 3, so like the big main guns they will like work as long as we have anything to shoot. Now we set this up wrong, I understand. Look at that. This one should be set to channel 1. Let's see here. At least this one is set up right. Okay, good. They are different prio. So we're gonna set this to channel 2, which basically means that as long as any of the AIs are still online, it will shoot. And there, when that's all set up, we can play it again and, well, save the vehicle. Version 150, oh my god. Well, that is definitely something, and when we are having the game at the played speed, that little red like highlighting will be removed. If you don't pause the game like I did, you'll just need to fill it in like several times in order to make it activate. Well then, this should be detection and AI, I hope. Let's wonder if I have missed something. Well, in any case, please check out Gmodism.com. I updated the page a little bit, so it should be better if you want that. I asked you before and I added the fixes you wanted me to add, changed a little bit of how it looks and whatnot. So please check out Gmodism.com and see if you think it looks better now and if there's anything more I can improve. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little session of upgrading the Ultra Yamato. I'm sure it's gonna be super duper strong when we're done with it. Today we did set up all the AI and maneuvers and stuff like that, detection and whatnot we need, so it's gonna see very sharp and be able to deal a lot of damage. In any case, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, and we have more from the depth content at the Gmodist channel as well, and you can support the channel too if you want to. Go to gmodism.com/support and find all the options there. Huge thanks to everyone in the ecclesiarchy, the commissioned officers and the government of Gmodism. This is your host Eric, and we're signing out, hoping that martincitopants will take a look at it sometime and be very proud. Well, see you.